Hello. Uh, Thanks, Aditya or Jix, for nominating me for this challenge. I thought I'll do a dance or sing or do a painting or story or poem. A lot of thoughts came, but I realized I know none of them. So the only thing I probably know is presenting an architecture document or a deck. That's what I've been doing all through the years. So I thought, what the heck, I'll do create one more deck for this. So with this, you've nominated me on a very auspicious day, which is the Guru Purnima day. So happy Guru Purnima to you all, and it's a very very special occasion, especially in India, because countless gurus have graced this land and have done uh, a great amount of work. And whenever this country has stood at the crossroads of chaos and despair, they have stepped up and saved the nation. It could be it starting from Vishwamitra guiding Rama and Lakshmana, or till Brahmendra Swami, who guided Bajirao and Chimmaji Appa to kind of stand against the Mughal Empire and create a Maratha Empire which stood from Lahore to Senji or even down south, right? So such a big empire they've stood up, and these people were nobody. And one of the major contributions these people have done is in the field of Sanskrit. Not Sanskrit, but a variety of fields. But predominantly their thoughts have been in the language of Sanskrit. So I thought I'll use this opportunity to maybe talk about some of the interesting things about Sanskrit, which I've been trying to learn in the past 6 months, for the past 6 months. So with that, we'll get started. Let's start with the basic Sanskrit sounds. Many people might know, but Sanskrit is a very, very scientifically created language. Starting from even what are the sounds or what are the alphabets that make up the language, right? And pretty much most of the Indian languages derive from Sanskrit, so we all know how that goes. So if you look at the word that comes from your throat, and if you look at oo, that probably comes from your lips, that forms from your lips. So the word om forms from a, u, So that basically says that it covers the entire span of vibrations that occur in our body. Similarly, the word aham, which means I in Sanskrit, if you look at that is the first alphabet, and the last alphabet of Sanskrit is ha, like sha, sha, sa, ha. So if you look at it, it consists of ha plus So basically, aham contains the entire body, right, of work, which is I, which denotes I. So any word which is formed in Sanskrit is formed very scientifically. A lot of thought has been put through. There are a lot of videos out there which talks about all of this. Uh, I'm happy to share if you are interested. I'll be sharing this deck also, so you guys can take a look at it and look at some of the videos. None of these ideas are mine. So let's move, right? So many of us have heard this statement, right? Saying that this statement has all the 26 alphabets of the English language. So even in Sanskrit, we have had a few things which are probably even more interesting than this. Let's see this. There is something called Varnachitras. When you talk about Varnachitras, you can look at what has been done here, right? So it starts from Ka and it ends with Ha. And you can see that all the alphabets of Sanskrit are actually placed in the same order. And there is a poem that is being written, right? And there is no alphabet which is out of place. It's not one word here and one word there. So you can actually see that there are various word plays that are possible, or alphabet plays. This is the entire Vyanjans starting from Ka to Ha, which is there. Similarly, there is something called Sthana Chitras. And if you look at the Sthana Chitras, there is a 32 syllable, you can say, verse, and it only has Ya, and it's formed only with Ya, and it actually splits very beautifully, and it has a very very beautiful meaning. This is from Paduka Sahasram by Venkata Vedanta Desika Acharya. I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar with who he is, but he has written 1,000 shlokas on just Rama's sandals. I mean, that's mind blowing, right? And there are a few more interesting things about the Paduka Sahasram which we will read and find out. The other thing is, again, I'm trying to draw some parallels from English. So I'm sure everybody will be familiar with this statement, which is nothing but a palindrome. Uh, if you look at something like what our scholars have done, there is a text called Raghava Yadavyam, which is called a Anuloma Viloma Kavya. So if you look at the sentence here, this verse reads from, when you read it from starting to this end, it talks about Rama. But if you kind of invert the whole sentence, so you start from backwards and reach the front, it talks about Krishna's life story. So he's written about 40 shlokas, not one, not two, 40 shlokas, which kind of talks about the life story of both Rama and Rama and Krishna, right? Pretty interesting. And this is nothing but what we call as the Knights Tour, which is nothing but Euler kind of found this out in the 18th century, where he found a solution that where a knight will move on all the different spaces in the chessboard, where it only moves to each and every space only once and it covers the entire chessboard. So every space has been covered and every space has been covered only once. So Euler found the solution to this problem in the 18th century. Uh, in Sanskrit, we have something called Chitrabandhas, which is nothing but where different forms and shapes, patterns are made based on where you position the alphabets. Again, this is from the same Paduka Sahasram written by Vedanta Desikacharya. And he did this in the 12th century, right? So if you look at this word, he has written the first sloka, and the first sloka has been arranged in this way, in this box. And if you look at the second one, if you traverse this whole board in terms of the knight's move, you actually get the second shloka. Interesting, isn't it? And it's even more better, right? And it's not only you're traversing through this board, but you're also getting a very beautiful verse at the end of it. And the funny thing is, it's said that Vedanta Desikacharya, he actually wrote Paduka Sahasram in a span of 3 hours. He was challenged by another scholar that can he produce a work in a night, in a single night. So he sat and wrote this whole entire Paduka Sahasram, 1,000 shlokas about just Rama's sandals, right? In just a span of 3 hours. Mind blowing. Let's move to the next one, right? So compound words. Again, very simple concept. You put two words together and it gives you a new word. So butterfly and things like that. And even today, when you go to English and try to find out what are the different type of compound words, you kind of get to know about three. The closed form, which is nothing but an example is notebook. And the second one is open compound word, where you write them with a space in between. For example, like peanut butter, no one, ice cream. And the third one is hyphenated compound word, where you put a dash between them, right? Like real time, for example. Let's see how in Sanskrit they classified compound words. In Sanskrit, it's called samasa. And if you look at samas, there are four types of compound words, right? One is tatpurusha, avyayabhava, dvandva, bahuvrihi. Let's see what are they. If you look at tatpurusha, what tatpurusha means is there are two words. The first word is a qualifier and the second word is a subject. For example, cabbage patch, football field, where the first word kind of gives an idea and the second word is the subject of the topic, right? So for example, Lokanatha. If you take the word Lokanatha, it is actually split, it spreads out as Lokasyanatha, which basically nothing but Earth's Lord, right? So the subject of the topic, we are actually talking about the person who's the Lord, and what he has is he's Earth's Lord, right? So that's, and even in Tatpurusha there are different kind of relationship. The one which I'm talking about is the possessiveness, right? Some lokasyanata. There are 7 different types of qualifier that you can make when it relates to the subject. The second one is avyayabhava, where the first word is the subject and the second word is a qualifier. Just to give an example, anurupam is one example. Anu is basically after, rupam is the form, after form, right? The subject is still after, the thought which needs to be focused on is after, like afterlife, and the qualifier is the kind of thing which qualifies the subject, right? Now, what are the type of samasas can be? I mean, if you apply all the probabilistic permutations, you get dvandva, which is both are subject. Examples are Ramakrishna, Hariharan. We have innumerable. I mean, even dvandva can be, has internally 3 different types of dvandvas. Now, I think we've covered all the different types of uh, permutations, but what is this Bahuvrihi? And that's the most wicked and most cool, if you can call it, type of samasa or compound words. So what is that? So basically, the good example for that is Chandra Mauli. Chandra is moon, Mauli is head. So we are not talking about the moon, we are not talking about the head, we are talking about the person who has moon on his head, which is nothing but Lord Shiva, right? So you have 2 words, but the meaning is the third one, right? Very common English examples are blue chip. We are not talking about blue object, or we are not talking about a chip, it's about a stock, right? So if you look at it, the way even the division or the types or the thought process behind the compound words is so refined, so scientific in Sanskrit. Just to give an example, in Samasa, one of the most funny thing is a poet tells a king, you are also Lokanatha, I am also a Lokanatha. The only difference is your Lokanatha is Tatpurusha, my Lokanatha is Bahuvrihi. What he means to say is, you are Lokasyanatha, you are Earth's Lord, and I am a person for whom the entire Loka is Lord, essentially meaning he's a beggar. So I would all encourage you to learn Sanskrit so that you can understand and appreciate the richness which these gurus have given us and enjoy it. And it's my humble, if you can call it a humble offering in today's Guru Purnima day and to the challenge program. And of course, I'd like to nominate Srivatsan for the next challenge. Thank you.